Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. I'm your host Khalid Mohidin, and this is another episode of Legends with Ravi. Now we've got a very special episode with you, and you know about the turmoil that's happening in South African cricket, but it's not just about that. We don't want to just only hop on that alone, but we are going to delve a little bit into it. We've got a very special guest on the show with us, but I'm going to allow Ravi to introduce him. So first of all, I need to bring my co-host on the show, of course, and the star of the show, of course, and that is Ravi Reddy. So without further ado, he asked me to play him something a little different today from the usual playlist. So I don't know, it's quite an acquired taste, although I'm a big fan of the band myself. But let's just go with it. Hello, Ravi. Welcome to the show.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I watched David Grohl right in front of me at Greenpoint Stadium 7 years ago. One of the best concerts I've ever been to. Foo Fighters. It's a one band I will go out of my way to another continent to go and watch. Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic performance.
And I think our guest will be thinking, what are we playing? What are we playing on this episode?
What is that? What is that? Is Sinatra there?
No, but Foo Fighters, amazing song. I mean, they used it for this. I don't know if our viewers know, but they used it for the pandemic as the main pandemic song. All the celebrities, like, they had Heal the World from Michael Jackson, etc., and those type of songs. So they brought the song together and they played it in lockdown from different people's houses in isolation, and they had various celebrities singing that chorus and stuff, and obviously the verses. So all around the world, from Pink to I don't know to loads of different artists that sang on it, which was quite incredible. You can go see that on YouTube. But Ravi, introduce our guest today, because that's what we're really here for, and I think that's what the guests are here for too.
Absolutely, and I'm sure our audience is probably wondering, why is Ravi sitting in his car? I can assure you, my wife did not kick me out of the house. I'm anticipating there will be some load shedding that will take place in the next 2 to 3 minutes. But a little bit on our guest. Our guest is, of course, Hoosain Ayob, who's a former Dadabai competitor, a former cricketer as well, and an administrator, an educator. So he's had a long history with the game. A deep involvement with black cricketers, particularly having participated in the Dadabai Cup as well. And later on, he served as an administrator, working very closely with Dr. Ali Bakar. So lots to cover tonight in a very short space of time. But I'm hoping to go down a little bit of memory lane with Hoosain, because he's actually formed relationships with a lot of international cricketers as well over the years. Mm-hmm. You would have noticed, some of the fans would have noticed that our cover page had Mahendra Singh Dhoni in there as well. And I think Hoosain engaged with him a good couple times during India's tours of South Africa particularly.
Yeah. And if you guys are wondering why Ravi's sitting in the dark, as he experienced, we have a load shedding, and the guys that are not from South Africa, our electricity turns off at random times within South Africa. So that's just to give a blank overview of actually what happens. Actually, they do schedule us and warn us before they do it, but it's power cuts to save electricity in the country. So without further ado, let's introduce you to our guest and welcome him to the show. So welcome to the show, Evening Hoosain.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us.
In the dark. Ravi, I'm sure
unfortunately, I think there's many South Africans are in solidarity with me right now. So I thought I might stick with the theme and go into the car and do what I need to do. Just share your story with the many South Africans that are watching us tonight.
Oh, yes. Where would you want me to start, Ravi?
No, well, maybe as a bit of an icebreaker, and Khalid and I know have been doing this for some time now, and as a bit of an icebreaker, I'm going to ask you straight off the bat, and this is probably going to be your hardest question of the day. Are you a Man United fan or a Liverpool fan? And you need to answer very carefully, sir.
I'm a Liverpool.
Hey, here we go. Well, congratulations on your Premier League victories.
It
Very well
took us
played.
30 years, but anyway, we made it.
Yeah.
No, it was about time. I mean, you guys have been playing excellent soccer for a while, or excellent football for a while. I'm just glad that you didn't say Man City. Vinny Barnes, who
Let me
was on
tell
our
you,
show a couple of weeks
my
back.
second team is Man City. I like their style of play, Man City. It's a pity they didn't make
Okay.
it, but the team.
I think you'll have solidarity with Vincent Barnes then, if that's the case.
Yeah.
He's the only Man City fan I know.
And I think it's safe to say that Mr. Hussein doesn't like Manchester United, and we are both Man United fans.
I like Man United, but you have to choose one team, and that is Liverpool. I like red. I like
You like red?
red.
That's good.
Red.
That's a common factor right there. And maybe before we even go through the book itself, of course, Hussein is an author as well. He's the only author we've interviewed on the show thus far. I'm hoping there'll be many more down the line.
Oh, besides Aslam
Hussein,
Kota, of course.
besides us, oh my goodness, of course, Aslam wrote it. Oh, Aslam's going to grill us tomorrow. Aslam, of course, was also wrote a book many moons ago. But Hussein just recently released Crossing Boundaries. Hussein, you want to talk us a little bit about the book before I give my analyses?
Okay. Well, it took me about 10 years to finish writing this book. It all started way back when I was a little young boy. When I went to Mia's farm, I know a lot of people know Mia's farm. The reason for me being in Mia's farm, I lost my dad at the age of 10. And subsequently, studying, going to various schools, teaching here and there, cricket, playing cricket. When I lost my son, who was 21 years old, first year varsity, good soccer player, good cricketer, I then decided, hey, I have to tell my story. And this is what prompted me to write this book. And not only that, part of it, crossing boundaries, is from the old apartheid system to the new. And this is what it's all about. Our kids who were never given opportunity, and now there are opportunities for them. So yes, this is what it is. And also crossing boundaries is going to Africa, reaching out to 25 African countries and developing the game in those countries. I must tell you that up till now, I get a lot of good requests and people thanking me for what I have achieved in Africa. I mean, in some countries, cricket, you could even talk cricket, but today the kids are playing cricket. Yes, this is part of the book. My book covers quite a bit, years of teaching, various schools, Basil de Oliveira, there's a chapter on Basil. I played a few games with Basil. Then there's one on awards, a lot of awards I received, and of course, the good and the bad. But more than anything else, it is a story about poverty, how you had to do something. And I chose cricket to get out of that poverty feeling. And I read a lot of books on the West Indian cricketers. Uh, Sir Conrad Hunt, who I worked with for 7 years, Brian Lara, played a season with Rohan Kenai. And more than anything else, closer contact with Sir Clive Lloyd, who actually wrote the foreword to my book. And through cricket, through a game like cricket, got themselves out of poverty. And that is what it's all about.
Wow, I must say, I was about to say that I recall Clive Lloyd writing the foreword for the book, and I thought to myself, wow, there must be one hell of a relationship here, because this is a two-time World Cup champ that wrote the foreword for the book, and I know that he had a long history as serving as an administrator within the ICC ranks as well.
You know, for a man of his caliber to visit me at home when I was ill with the late Kaya Majola, says a lot. And whenever he comes to South Africa, we meet, we discuss cricket, we talk about our children, opportunities. And as you know, the West Indians were the first people to ban South Africa, not playing with South Africa. And the only reason why they came over here is to make a change to see that everybody gets a fair chance to play this game. But if you look at what is happening in our cricket at the moment, I hope you don't mind me moving that way. You can see that, somebody asked me today, don't you feel hurt about it? I said, yes, obviously. My reason for going into the townships of South Africa and in Africa is to give youngsters opportunity to play this beautiful game of ours. And if you see what is happening, if you go to some of the schools, their facilities, you can't even talk of facilities. Come to Lenasia, where I live. If you look at our grounds, especially the tech ground, where you have 7, 8 games a weekend, and you talk about facilities, I tell you, it's shocking. And that is what it's all about. And then, of course, I feel sorry for these youngsters who played for South Africa, who've gone there. A lot of people say, why didn't they speak out then? Probably they would have been dropped from the team. And that is why I feel I stand with them in what they are fighting for. I mean, I've known Makai Antini, I know Solikile. I mean, I've been coaching with Solikile for a while. And the list goes on. The Alviro Petersons, Herschel Gibbs. And the talent is there. If you take Basil de Oliveira alone, if you take him, he had to leave his country to go to England to play there, to show the world what he's made of. So we have enough Basil de Oliveiras in South Africa. Honestly, we have. When I look at the youngsters who I felt would play for South Africa, and you don't see them anymore, and you wonder what has happened to these kids. Do they get the same treatment? Do they get the same coaching? Do they get the same education? You wonder. Yes, I'm becoming very emotional now, but this is exactly how I feel. Writing that book, if you read the book, you'll see a lot of that is mentioned. I mean, I wouldn't have just given up my position as a headmaster of a school to go into Soweto. I did it because I knew there's talent in there. There must be talent. We got to go on. And somebody asked, what do you think? What is the future? I said, we shouldn't give up. We started something, we must carry on. Let's hope we get the right people, the people that don't look at color, people that are there for the game and not for themselves.
Absolutely. I think that's well said. And I think there's a lot of, one thing I have to say, this is like an uncanny era that we're living in right now. We're in a global pandemic, and I think because we all are staying at home, we are engaging a lot more on social media. And I think it was almost by reflex that you'll get a number of these stories sort of unfolding because you've got a captivated audience by default. There's been a lot of emotions about this. There are lots of individuals that are backing certain authorities, and there are other individuals that are backing the side of the plaintiff, if you will, inverted commas. In your opinion, do you see this ending at any point? Do you think that there's going to be an end at all? Do you think this is going to be an ongoing issue, perhaps, or will it see an end at some point?
Let's hope. Let's hope this coronavirus has come at the right time for us to sit back, think about it, and let's go there. That I promise you, wherever you go, you'll find a youngster either bowling, batting, fielding. Every youngster wants to play cricket. I mean, if you look at India, you look at Pakistan, you look at all over the world, the youngsters all want to play cricket. So let us do something. Let us get together. Let's get the best people. Choose the people who are there for the game and not for personal reasons. And I'm sure we'll go forward. I'm very positive it can happen. As I said, we've got a lot of people, black, white, green, yellow, that love this game and will make sure that we give our children opportunity. And this is what I've always believed in. If you read my book, it's about giving children an opportunity. I mean, I was a headmaster of a school, and seeing them only getting educated and sports being neglected, that is what hurt me. And I felt we've got to do something for the children. Sport is part of it. Sports is part of building. Yeah. And that is so
And I'm glad
important.
I'm glad you mentioned. Yeah.
Said it.
Sorry,
He said
go ahead.
sports,
Go ahead. I interrupted you.
yeah, sports can unite a nation, and this is what can happen. If you look at Pakistan at the moment, I know it's politics now. You look at a chap like Imran Khan, who captained Pakistan, and this is what I always say: captaincy leads. You get leadership, and that is look where he is today, and he is leading a country. And this is, I hope, he survives the next 5 years, and we'll see changes in Pakistan and the world itself.
We'll certainly talk about leadership in a short while. Let's go back to your playing days. You mentioned you played against Basil de Oliveira. What is that experience like? And maybe just for a younger audience, just explain how good a batsman Basil actually was.
Let me tell you, if you really want to get to the top, you got to play against the best. And I must tell you, I know my Transvaal chaps will not like it, but Western Province always produced the top cricketers.
There we go, Khalid. There we
Probably
go.
the club structures, I don't know what it is, but always, whenever we played Western Province, we always knew we've got a match on. Playing with Basil and watching him, I played 3, 4 games. I tell you, that man, it's a pity. A lot of South Africans didn't see him. You know, he would have been put with the likes of Sir Garfield Sobers and company. That is how I feel as a batsman. He had a good eye. He could hit the ball. He was, it was a challenge. You just wanted to get him out because there it is. And just a little down the line, we had a chap called Dirk Abed. Oh, I tell you, that was a great all round, the Abed brothers. But Dirk stood out. And I can give you a list of cricketers from the Cape: Kuti Neatling, Dickie Conrad, Jock Mahoney, the Majid brothers. And, you can just rumble their names off. That's how they were.
So I'm
But
going to play devil's advocate here. I'll play devil's advocate. And one of the conversations I had earlier in the week, the gentleman was talking about the Dadabai Trophy, and he said that you can't put them on a level playing field in the same regard as the white cricketers' competitions in the 70s and 80s, largely because of the conditions that they were playing in. And he went on further to explain that this is not my views, this is individuals, by the way, that the in the SAC B setup in the Dadabai Trophy, particularly, there were felt pitches. They weren't actual pitches per se. What is your response to sort of the scenarios, the types of questions like those, or the thought processes like those of individuals that might not be as well informed?
no, some of them may not be. But they may feel that our cricket was probably inferior. But the time when we joined, the two bodies joined in Western Province, Natal, Transvaal, we played with the likes of Clive Rice, Graham Pollock, and these guys. And I promise you, we matched them up. They beat us the first year, hands on. But the second year, we started beating them because we started playing on better conditions and we understood what it's all about. So yes, I remember our first game, Transvaal game. I played for Koinur then. We played against Pirates with Jimmy Cook there. Our very first game. I mean, Jimmy Cook, the Transvaal team, and they had a good. We beat them. So you can't just say that our standard was poor. It wasn't. Maybe we played under atrocious conditions,
Yeah.
but we had the talent. The talent was there. The talent was there. If you look at today, slowly giving your kids an opportunity, you can see them coming through. You see them coming through. Yes.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned the. When I think about your story and having read it now, I think about a healthy grassroots system that saw a wealth of black cricketers coming through the system and actually progressing. A couple names that I wrote down here from the book: Mackay and Tini, probably the biggest one out of the lot. Um, Speaks
Hashim
volumes.
Amla.
Hashim Amla is another one. What do those players in the context of black cricket history in South Africa mean to you specifically? Is it necessarily a success story? Was there perhaps room for improvement? Was this the best we could actually do? I'm speaking devil's advocate in the devil's advocate sort of perspective.
No, I feel, Ravi, I still feel we haven't given them everything. I
Okay.
promise you. If you see what the kids get when they go to the academies, they get top coaches. They get, I mean, feeding wise, you name it, everything. So this is where we lose out. You go to the townships, for example. You go to Soweto now. There's hardly cricket being played. As much as people talk about these hubs and what have you, but I mean, when we started off, every school we had started playing cricket, even in Asia. So yes, it's going to take some time. But when I say time, that coach, whoever is a coach there, must make sure he gives every child the same opportunities, everything the same. Spend time, the one-on-ones with the guys, talk about it, talk about the mental preparation. There's so much we can talk about. Visualization. And if everybody gets equal treatment, I promise you, South Africa will become one of the top cricketing countries in the world. I promise you that.
And I think I'll definitely welcome some questions from Khalid at this point. And before he goes, I want to just share with you, Khalid has been to a number of school tournaments countrywide. And I'm sure you'll probably share some insights from what he's seen in recent times, particularly pertaining to a level playing field, as it were. Khalid, over to you.
Yeah. So that particularly is actually the first question I wanted to ask you, Hussein, is that we know that the Coke Week has been labeled Kaya Majola Week. And you mentioned Kaya Majola and the importance of him to South African cricket, but we don't hear enough stories about him and his impact. Can you maybe give us can you give us a little bit more insight into him or what type of person he was and the impact he had on South African cricket?
Khalid, my very, very first tournament, I was 19 years old, 1961, I remember. And I played with three top cricketers from Port Elizabeth. And one of them was Eric Majola. I don't know how many people know who Eric Majola was. I played with Eric, Dan Keke, and I don't know what's the other chance. But anyway, Eric then always used to speak about his son who loves cricket and soccer. And after 10 or 12 years, I came to find out this it was Kaya Majola. He used to come and bat at number 5, 6, and he used to bowl, spin bowl. But I could already see somebody from New Brighton. And unbelievable how this youngster on his own used to walk from New Brighton to Malabar. I know the history. And all he wanted to do was play cricket, play cricket. And when he joined up and he became the director of development, I was director of coaching. I could see from his body language and his time, this man's heart is in the right place. He wanted to make sure every youngster, especially amongst the blacks, gets the opportunities to play for South Africa because he probably was denied playing for South Africa. He was a talented all-rounder, very talented. We became very close friends, and that is why one of my brochures that is out it's called The Terrible Twins, who Clive Lloyd mentioned that these are the terrible twins because we sacrifice. We used to start our day at 7, 8 and finish up 9, 10 in the evenings. And this is what it's all about. And somewhere in the book, you will read about how one evening the two of us fell asleep. Had we gone further, we would have been down one of those hills there in Port Elizabeth,
Sure.
And that is what it's all about. Kaya was so committed. Let me tell you, was committed. It's a pity he died at the wrong time. He was committed. He would have made a difference, and probably we wouldn't have had all these problems that we are facing now if Kaya was still around. That's how I feel.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing that South African fans and generally, because it's so easy for us as fans to sit back and just say, no, we just want to see a team that is diverse. We want to see the best team walking onto the field. They don't understand the struggles that players go through. I mean, I've seen some things where it really shocked me what some players have to go through to even get to a practice. And we hear so many stories. Can you give me some insight to the youngsters and the generation now? Because it's kind of what we want to hear is the story on what we need to accept and what we need to take from the older generation moving forward and understand the privileges that we actually do have compared to our forefathers and people that were before us.
One of our big problems, and I've seen it with our kids, it is getting from home. For example, if you are from Soweto and you have to get to the Wanderers, I promise you, if you don't take 2 or 3 taxis, you'll never get there. This is what it's a problem. It's transport. And something had to be done. And this is where Kaya started trying to get the kids to get there on time, because time in cricket is so important, as you know. And one thing I have noticed is the coaching part. The late Kaya, myself, uh, Anton Ferreira, and Duncan Fletcher, we went to Australia to go and have a look at their coaching setup. We spent a whole week there with Ian Chappell, Dennis Lilly, you name them, they were all there. Coming back, we had to make sure we put this back into the schools, because this youngster at school must have good coaching. If you don't get good coaching at that young Bakers mini cricket, you're not
Mm.
going to make. And this is where we felt it's important for the kids to get the best coaches. And this is what we started. We had mini cricket coaching courses, level one, level two. But somewhere along the line, these things started fading. They started fading. I don't know what the reason. I remember, and I'm boasting about it, that I used to run about 50 to 60 courses throughout South Africa a year. 60 courses.
Sure.
And I can prove that. You go to one or two or three of the provinces and ask how many are they running, they'll probably tell you we're conducting one or two or maybe three for a year, four, I don't know. That is something that's worrying me, that I feel it's important to get the best coaches at that level, at a young at age 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you one question from the fan before I give it back over to Ravi again. And we've got Gulam Jaffa over here that says, when I was privileged to serve on the same is under 19, under 17 panel as Solly Chowdhury, he'd talk about his playing days. Two players stood out, Tiffy Barnes and Hoosain Ayob. Please share your views on Solly and Tiffy.
I thought it's going to come up. Many years back, Abdul Bamji wrote an article in the Sunday Times, the A, the B, and the C of Transvaal cricket. A, Ayop, B, Barnes, C, Chotia. And that is how it was. We started together 1960 as student teachers, and we grew up. Just yesterday, Tiffy phoned me to thank me for the book and the good things I wrote about him. But I promise you, as an all-rounder, Solly would have walked into any team. Any team. That's a fact. I know a lot of people will say I'm praising these guys. There's Tiffy himself. Tiffy went to England. When he came back, he was a different cricketer, complete cricketer. He was different in the sense he could take on the best. I remember we were playing, Crescents were playing against old Joannians, and Tiffy scored 125. And yes, coming back to Solly was not only a good cricketer, but he was a good coach. Let me tell you, he was a good coach. He helped me in Africa. He used to go to Botswana, and that is where he lifted the Botswana standard of cricket, going there. Solly was a student of the game. Solly used to read. I can go on and write a book about Solly. Yes, I knew him. Yeah, serious. There's so
Yeah.
much about Solly.
Amazing.
Good, one of the good straight batsmen. Yeah, and don't talk about TP. TP is another class. I promise you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going over back to Ravi, I'm going to give it back over to you.
So thanks again, Khalid, for that. Hussein, so the last couple of weeks there have been some developments in the Cricket South Africa arc, particularly in terms of leadership. We said we were going to cover that to a degree this evening. What's your thoughts on what has transpired? Were these escalations, should I rather term them as escalations, managed very well? That's A. And B, have we got the right guys leading the fold, leading the organization right now? We just saw a new appointment in the form of Kugandri. Is it Kugandri governed? Is that right, Khalid? Yeah. In the acting capacity. In your experience, from your perspective, have Cricket South Africa made the right moves as of late, or is there significant room for improvement? Thali, the floor is yours.
Ravi, we had a good leader, and I know a lot of people may not agree with me in Harun Lorgat. I promise you. Harun was a very good leader, good business mind, and what have you. And the day he left, I knew we are going to head for disaster. Coming back to Jack Fowle, for example, long before we united, long before, in the 60s already, I played against Jack Fowle when he was playing here for Klerksdorp. And I've known him, and a lot of people ask me, "What do you think about Jack Fowl?" I said he's a bloody good leader, and for him to quit, I don't know why he quit, because he helped us when Harun left, and he came back. Now he's left. So yes, we need a good leader, and I promise you, if we're not going to get a good leader, strong leader, I always say Pakistan made it because of Imran Khan. He didn't take any nonsense from Javed Mianda to whoever it was, or Wasim Akram and them. He was strong, tough, and he wanted everybody to go together as one. And this is what we need. We need good leaders. I looked around. I saw some names coming up. I think they mentioned the name Beresford. I've met Beresford for about 4 or 5 years back. Good leader, but of course, I don't know what he's going to be when he's going to lead Cricket South Africa. There's talk that you're going to get what's his name, the lawyer back to lead. I don't know. But we need good leadership. I promise you, Ravi, if we're not going to get good, strong leadership, and I say strong, tough people to take us and get a group of people that love cricket. You got to love the game. At the moment, I'm just touching on, I'm writing on another book on cricket captaincy. And I've been going through captains from the days of, you know,
Jardine.
good, those Abdul Bamji, good captain. I've been going through the latest one. I'm busy with is Imran Khan, and I felt that we need leadership. People that can take you from A to B, and we need it, especially in cricket. Honestly, cricket, we must be the world leaders, and we have the people. You've got a population, a mixed population, black, white, green, yellow, and I'm sure we can make it. We can take it together. And I feel people there, I think September, they're going to choose, they must choose the right people, whether it's a lady
Fantastic.
or whoever. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Look, I think I'm glad that they've progressed a woman into the role.
Yeah.
It is an acting capacity, so I'm sure that there will be a formal process that will follow thereafter when they do decide to open it up. I think after this board meeting that's taking place in the coming weeks. You mentioned a very interesting point around captaincy, because and we mentioned it in the Cricket Fanatics closed forums as well, of
Mm.
how all of the culture camps, how these various events that have unfolded in the last couple of weeks could very well influence the selection of the next South African Test captain. In your opinion, having seen the recent performances against England and their tour of South Africa a few months back, as well as the months prior, I think we toured in India prior to the England tour of South Africa. What is your viewpoint? Do you think there are any strong contenders for that role, especially considering that Quinton de Kock decided against taking on the mantle of captain?
At the moment, it's very difficult to see who you've got. Uh, Bavuma doesn't look bad. Let me tell you, Bavuma doesn't look. I'm going back now to give you an example. There was a stage where Kepler Wessels captained South Africa, right? And South Africa wasn't doing well. Kepler was a captain that didn't want to lose. He didn't worry about winning, lose. He didn't want to lose. Hansi came on board, and I remember Hansi was given the captaincy. He refused to take it because he felt he can't do it because Kepler is still his hero. But he was forced to, and he was asked to take it on seriously. And I remember telling him the art of captaincy, he must go and read it. I gave him that book and I told him I'm going to question him on it. I said, that is one of, it's like a Quran, it's like our Bible. And if you read that, you come back and look what happened to what happened to him. He became one of the, irrespective of what happened, but he became a top captain. Hansi became a top captain. And writing this book on captaincy, it is exactly what I felt. A lot of people are scared to take on the challenge, and you can do it. I was reading about Barry Richards, for example, his view about captaincy, Ian Chappell, for example, and the list goes on. So we should get these chaps on, for example, Bavuma, have a chat, go and sit there with Dr. Bacher, go sit with whoever. Aslam Kota knows a lot about the game, and talk about leadership. Some people are scared to take it, but I tell you, Bavuma can become, that's what I feel, our next captain, provided he gets the support. He needs the support. If he doesn't get the support, he's gonna fall. And that is where I
Now,
felt.
unfortunately, yeah. Now that I fully agree. I think he's a fantastic contender for the role, without question. But the man sitting at the railway stand, who is a couch critic of note, will very well likely say a weight of runs need to be the ultimate decider. Yet none of the guys really have had a consistent run in
Sure.
recent times.
Yes.
What would you say in lieu of that, considering that, Temba has been struggling in form in the test arena? He has certainly found form in the white ball arena. But given that, I mean, what is your response with regards to the weight of runs concept?
Ravi, I agree with you totally there. That is where you take the man into your under your wings and talk to him. It could be a mental thing that we don't even know. This could be something else that is worrying the chap. And this is where we got to help our guys. It's possible that something is, I mean, why is he doing good in one and not the other? It could be, I don't know, sit with him and have a chat. I mean, the great Mike Brearley, who led England to success, didn't score much, yet he had the leadership qualities.
He was brilliant with people. Yeah,
Brilliant.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Now you look at Jack Callas. I'm going back. Jack is one of my favorite all-rounders, but not the best in the world. Jack failed so many times, 7, 8, 9 times before he ever got opportunity. He was given that opportunity. And this is what we're not giving our chaps. There's your good cricketer. I like him. He's in Western Province. What's his name?
Super Ramza.
Zubair Hamza. Why wasn't he given the same opportunities? Why not? And he's got talent. He's got it. And as I said, you look at the English team today that's playing against Pakistan. You can see the flaws in the opening bat. The coaches are there to help. They sit and discuss it, and they mention maybe you just move your foot this side or you bring your arm around, but they help each other, and this is what's so important. We got to help our chaps. You got to help our.
Yeah, sorry, Ravi. I just want to jump in here quickly because on that topic, you speaking about that. Do you think that extended run? Can you maybe give us some insight into those extended runs that previous players would have gotten? Because the couch critics will always say, no, he's not performing. Take him out. They're too quick to drop players than give them opportunities. And also, I saw that with regards to England, and I use this example a lot with regards to someone like Pope. He was a young player coming into the side, and they kind of gave him an opportunity by protecting him in the lineup, batting him lower down the order, for example. Is that maybe a good strategy to do when you're bringing in new youngsters? Now, when I spoke to Michael Holding, for example, he told me I must just be patient as a fan because it's a cycle and teams all go through cycles. We are currently in that position right now where we've lost a lot of legends and we need the next generation to come through. I think I did a video about the culture camp squad and how it's split up into different age or categories basically because we need the next generation to take over now. You're talking about like the likes of Zubair Hamza. What can we do to help build that next generation of talent now that we're in the situation where we don't look around the dressing room and there's not a lot of experience internationally?
No, I agree with you there. If you look at Gary Sobers, the great Sir Gary Sobers, where did he bat when he started? He started at batting at number 9. And eventually, as he progressed,
That's right.
that's exactly what happens. So likewise, we've got to look, and like I said, we've gone to Australia. They've got a psychologist with every team, be it under 19, be it under 7. They got a psychologist there because cricket is a mental game. It's a mental game. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, if you look at Gooch, for example, Gooch playing for Essex, in his first 6 games, he scored 6 ducks. And yet a man later went to England to lead England. So we that mental part, I firmly believe cricket is in the mind, whether it's in captaincy or whether it's what, even as a wicket keeper, you may be dropping catches and what have you because there's something wrong. It is to sit with that person and sit with them in a group and work on that mind. I promise you, the mind is, to me, I just talk about the mind. I've seen it. It's a pity we never had it. We talk about visualization. And I found it in Australia. It's one of the great aspects is visualization, where they use it. And this is what we got to do. I mean, I still read books about captains that don't sleep, that talk about a game, they visualize the game, what they're going to do the next day, and this is what happens. And I feel we should be giving our youngsters ample opportunities. Tell him, like, for the next 6 games, don't worry, you're going to play. Not to tell him that, hey, there's 3, 5 guys waiting for you to get your position. And this is what's frightening. I mean, I remember Justin Ontong, honestly. I was his manager when I was managing the Eiffel Lions then.
The 2001 tour.
Yeah. And there is a perfect example of a youngster. When I saw him when he was playing, I saw him in PAL when he was 15 years old. And I said, this is a future South African cricketer. But look what has happened to him, how he had to struggle. And it's all, Ravi, it is, we are not spending time. We spend a lot of time, 3-4 hours in the nets. But how often do we stand, sit one side and just talk cricket? Just talk for a few minutes. And you can see the difference it makes. It will just stick like that and it will make go. You could hear when Hamza played how people were praying that he must fail. You could hear it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Talking about wanting to fail.
I remember
hear
that. You mentioned
fail.
Hashim. Yeah, his debut tour was to India, right? And it's one of the most difficult countries to tour on your very first outing. And unfortunately, there's a high likelihood you might not be successful in your very first tour, especially in India. And I feel that that he was judged very harshly. But a year and a half later, he scored 100 in Cape Town. I was very fortunate to see that. And that, for me, that particular inning cemented his place for the next 13 years.
Ravi, they were talking about Amla's backlift. And I remember how they criticized him, some top cricketers. Yet, when he used to come down, the bat used to be straight. You know, things like that. People criticize everything. And yet, Amla is one of our top cricketers, man. I wrote a
But
little...
aside from Amla, you've got some very unorthodox batsmen that have flourished over the years, like Brian Lara with this high backlift. You got Chandapal who exposes middle and off stump with his batting style, and yet these guys scored
more recently. Steve Smith,
and Steve Smith as well. So, but nobody is really
recently
Smith.
One of the greatest averages of all time.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. And I think we need to celebrate our unorthodox styles as well. We need to encourage all of our players, black, white, you name it, to just play in the way that you feel comfortable. Going the textbook route isn't necessarily the right way. Do what you feel comfortable with.
Especially with this 2020. I mean, I watched what's his name, the Khan, the spinner. He came
Rashid
into bat.
Rashid Khan.
You saw his first shot there in the West Indies. You shot, just check it. It's unbelievable. He hit a 6, first ball, but how he hit it. This is going to happen in the 2020. But I'm still the old school. I'm still one of the
playing the V.
And we used to walk from Mia's farm. We used to walk from the farm to watch Wanderers, to watch the cricket there. We used to walk 15, 20 Ks just to go and watch cricket. We love the game so much. It's unbelievable. And this is something I tell youngsters. You've got to love this game passionately to really get to the top. You've got to be. You have to give 100%. You've got to give 100%. And you got the support. You must get the support. And if there's nobody that supports you, you're going to flounder. And this is where we are losing it, because we're not giving our children the opportunities. We're not there to support them all along. And this is what we need. Somebody asked me the other day, would you still go back to coach? I said, you know what? Even at this age, 79, I would love to see more cricketers coming through from Asia, from all parts, to play for South Africa, because there's a future for them. There's a future for them.
Now, I'm going to ask you one more question. As you mentioned coaching, in your opinion, what is your opinion with regards to the standard of domestic cricket in the country at the moment?
Oh God, don't talk about that. It's gone down. It's gone down. Serious. Ravi,
it's like a unanimous opinion. I think every one of our guests basically said the same thing.
You know why? Ravi, when I talk back, if you had 6, 7 Proteas, that time they call them Springboks, in a team, they would come on a Sunday and they would come and play. whether it's six, whether it's five or four, but every team had some of them. And if you wanted to improve your cricket, you had to play against the best. And this is what's happened. I don't even go to the grounds anymore. Something that I used to watch even if I was the only one, only spectator. If I was the only spectator, I would go. Today I don't even go because I know I'm not going to see cricket. It's a waste of time. Serious. It's sad, but we got to change that. It's sad. You ask Aslam, he will tell you when if you go to Lenasia Stadium, you'll find one person there. It's Uncle Hussein Ayob sitting there and watching the game, taking notes. I still take notes, and then I'll go to the bowler or I'll go to the captain. I'll tell him this is what you did wrong and this is what you did wrong. Whether he listens to me or not, we don't. We don't talk to our kids anymore. We expect them to take a catch. He drops a catch, but we never tell him afterwards. You know why you dropped the catch? Because your fingers were pointing here, your fingers were there. These are the type of things that our kids need, and it starts at the school level, at grassroots, where we got to get the kids in there to make sure it works.
Yeah, and I think that to rectify that now is where I know the T20 game kind of, with the amount of cricket that's been played now, with the IPL and all that stuff happening, it's spoiling the cricket in your country over here now in South Africa. I think that's why there is a cry from some fans that speak about having specialist teams for each type of
Yeah,
cricket. So, for example, having a test side, specialized test side, ODI side, because then if they are ODI tours, those test cricketers can maybe go back to domestic cricket and have a few games and be back in the training rooms to give back. Because
right.
not only have we lost experienced players in the international scene, the cycle is the same. The cycle now as well in the domestic arenas, where we're
Yeah,
losing experienced players like Rory Kleinveld and Vernie Philander and all of these guys that come back. We're losing all of them to the game because of that cycle. So we're gonna see this year with this regard with this 4-day competition and this domestic side, we're going to see a lot of young sides all around the country, guys that are in the 23, 24 year old bracket that are the seniors in every single team, which is quite a different situation we find ourselves in. So yeah, anything else you want to say there, Ravi, before we leave?
Not at all.
well,
I just wanted to extend an opportunity to say. I just want to say thank you again for joining us this evening. And normally, what we do at the tail end of the show is just to extend an opportunity to our guests to share their various business interests, your contact information, how best individuals can reach you, especially considering you just launched a book entitled Crossing Borders. You want to tell the fans how they can best reach you, how they can best access the book specifically. Over to you, Hussein.
Ravi, at this stage, I would like to thank the OCAF group, you know, the leaders, a legacy project, for them to come on board to assist me with this book. It wouldn't have been, it would have been very difficult if I did not have two pupils of mine, both top Afrikaans students, top. And Vasurti, as you all know, the deputy director, the ex-deputy director, and then a youngster from Port Elizabeth, Dr. Quresh Patel. They were my top Afrikaans students. And they wanted to say thank you to the old man, Manier. And this is where they heard that I'm busy with this book. And they came on board and said, look, we got to help you. And they went out of their way to make sure. But unfortunately, because of the COVID, we couldn't have a launch. We were supposed to have 3 launches, one in Johannesburg, one in Lens, and one in Lodium. But yes, if anybody needs books, today I had a few signed copies. They could always contact me on my number 083 4786 719. I don't know if you heard of a chap called Chap Garda, Yusuf Chap Garda. Well, he spoke to
Here we go.
me on the phone this morning, spoke to me about in half an hour, and he says, Hussein, you got to get your book out. There's so much for our people. And if I am you, I will go to every school in South Africa and give them a book to read. I said, give or sell. He says, well, whatever it is, but you got to. because he tells so much about what it's all about. He talks about hardships, he talks about discipline, he talks about sports. There's a lot of sports in it. And he asked me, how did I remember all these things? And I said, I kept every article that I had since the day I started playing. Every article I kept cut out, and I've got them. And from there, I took all these stats. And I'd like to thank them again. I mean, the OCAF group. And there's a girl who's very quiet. She's been pushing me, and it's Sumaya. I'm sure you met her. Sumaya. And yes,
She
that's
got a
what I
copy
want.
of the book to me, actually. Now that I'm making the link, the connection, I think she got the
Fantastic.
book to me.
I think one must go to Cape Town.
Yeah, if Khalid behaves himself, we'll send them a copy, definitely.
Uh, it's a pity I can't go. I was going to go to Durban. I was going to PE, where my group is there. The PE group. Great cricketers come from PE.
Mm.
I'm telling you. And then, of course, Cape Town. I don't want to talk about them. I've been talking too much about them. If you look at Alviro Petersons, the Princes, and all those guys, they come from Galvandale. Twice a year, I go down there to meet the guys, the Bravo Jacobs, and those other guys there. So yes, we formed during the Dadabai, we formed a good group of friendship. We were friends who would still phone each other, talk to each other, and yeah, I even chaps like Griquas, Kimberly, Achi Patel, top cricketer, top all rounder, missed out opportunity. But anyway, positively, let us all the three of us to start. Let us see if we can't get our cricket in order. We can
Yeah.
by talking to each other, by keeping in touch. I promise you, we can. We got so much of talent. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. Honestly, I've seen it. I've seen it in Africa. I mean, you go to Senegal, you go to Libya, you go to any part. I've been to 25 countries. I even went to Rwanda. And when I saw kids who come from the background in Rwanda, if you look at Rwanda, what has happened there? These youngsters hitting that mini cricket ball and the guy catching it, a bowling, and that smile on that face, that is what makes you want to live. That is what wants you to make you live. And that is what's so
Absolutely.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So with
you.
that, Ravi, with that note, that was a mic drop. I don't know what you say.
That was brilliant. That was absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant. In fact, Dev Govinji was on the show a couple of weeks back, and he said the very same thing about cricket in the rest of Africa, and it's flourishing at the moment.
Deb was the first one who bought a book.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Deb does. Kavanji.
Okay.
Yeah. He was the
That's
first one.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So
Thank you,
thank you very
guys.
much. Thank you very much,
Thank
Hussein,
you.
for coming on the show.
You made,
Thank you
you made
again.
my evening. You made my evening. Thank God. Thanks,
Oh,
guys.
thank you very much. Thank you a lot,
Thank you
Ravi,
for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Ravi, for co-hosting the show. Thank you to the fans for joining in. Please, guys, like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell for all notifications of all our videos. Comment and share this with all your friends and family, because I think this message needs to be spread a lot more. We're going to continue talking about this. It's not going to stop. We are going to continue talking about these stories that need to be heard by everybody and every generation. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you again next week with another episode of Legends with Ravi.